the teachers in the Wenatchee Valley Community Transition Program. And we are here tonight with two speakers from DVR. We have Megan Brock and Laura Hamilton here to share with us about DVR services. And we are hoping that our DDA specialist, Linda Kesty, is able to join us. Right now, we're having a few technical difficulties. And so we are going to get started tonight. We have also here my partner in crime, Dina Duncan. She's a teacher in the transition program with me. And we also have Tamara Burns from the county with us today as well. So those of you who are online, if you have questions, you can Zoom them into the chat room, and I will be watching the chat room. If you are in person, there's a microphone at your table. In order to make your questions be heard, you have to push this little button. This light has to turn green, and then you can speak into your microphone, and that will allow the people online to hear you as well. Once you're finished talking, make sure you push the button to turn that light red again, or they will hear everything that you say at your table if it doesn't stop. So welcome to everyone, and we are going to have Laura and Megan come up and share a little bit about DVR services, which is vocational rehabilitation.
That's fine. I just need to be able to see the slide.
Are you going to be able to show the slide?
All right, everybody, I kind of have a speech problem. So if you don't understand me, please raise your hand and I'd be really happy to repeat myself. My name is Laura Hamilton and I am the DVR supervisor for the OMAC and Wenatchee offices. And I'm going to pass the mic over and Megan's going to introduce herself.
I'm Megan Brock and I'm an RT for DVR.
So we are the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. We are actually part of the Department of Social and Health Services, which is Social and Health Services, DVR is kind of under them. So the DSHS is an umbrella for us. Okay. You didn't tell me that. You know how that works.
DVR is a statewide resource for people with disabilities. The DVR assists individuals with disabilities in getting and keeping a job. And DVR is also funded by federal and state grants. I believe federal is 80%, state is 20%.
All right. Who does DVR serve? DVR serves a variety of different people. For our kiddos that are in school, they either need to be on an IEP 504 plan and have a documented disability, physical, mental, sensory disability that makes it difficult to get or keep a job that matches your skills and your potential ability. And, you know, we take interest into consideration when helping them try to establish what they would like to do. And above all, they need services and supports and counseling, like they transition from high school into the world of work, or assistance with job search in order to get or keep a job, and are capable of working as the result of receiving DVR services.
We like to tell people that make sure that they know that DVR is a voluntary program. You don't have to sign up to DVR, and you can participate in services voluntarily. It has nothing to do with one service or the other. DVR provides informed choice when making decisions, whether or not you want to participate. If you are in DVR and you decide that you don't want to, that's your informed choice. You can stop at any time. Individuals receiving DDA services may also choose to apply for DVR.
I'm just going to take that a step further. DDA and DVR work together. For DDA, we're considered a comparable resource. So they're going to seek out first, and there's services we can provide that DDA can't. So it's definitely a very mutual relationship. All right, the vocational rehabilitation process. The first step is going to be to submit an application. And the application would be submitted at the time of intake. And the intake is when we sit down, we discuss, we share with you all about DVR services. And at the end of the intake, we provide you with an opportunity to sign the application. Once the application's been signed, we work really, really hard to determine eligibility. And we determine eligibility based on medical records, IEPs, a variety of sources. And from the date that the application is signed, we have 60 days to determine your eligibility. This is a federal law. And the next step is going to be the vocational assessment process. That is when the student and the vocational counselor will get together and discuss their interests. And together, we guide the students to be able to select an employment goal that matches the interests, their skills, and ability. So once that's been identified, we would do an individualized plan for employment. So from the time that the eligibility is determined until the plan is written, we have 90 days to do that. And once the plan is written, we seek successful employment. And our DDA folks, if they get employed, it's a little longer process. We either provide retention or intensive training services, most often that will last anywhere from 6 to 9 months. 3 to 6 months. And then once that's done, DDA will come in and take over to provide those long-term supports. And we will stay around for an additional 90 days just to make sure that everybody is happy, the student needs are being met. And then at the end, we all agree to case closure.
So at the application, DVR will provide information about our services. The application must be completed before a plan is made. So the date that the 60 days to eligibility starts, the day that the application is signed. Then the application records will review, determine eligibility for those services.
All right, the eligibility process. I kind of jumped ahead of myself and talked about this a little bit already. Again, you have a disability that is going to keep you from working, and it can be a wide variety of disability, but you want to work, and you definitely have the skills and abilities to work. And with just a little help from DVR and maybe a job coach, we're going to be able to get you into a job that you are going to enjoy. And just move forward. It's definitely a positive experience. Oh, she's making me talk. All right, eligibility, time frame, and documentation. As I said earlier, we have 60 days from the date the application is signed to determine eligibility. And if there's not enough information on the document, on the meta documentation, we will pay for required assessment that would be able to assist us with determining the eligibility. Rate list information. A rate list is the result of closed priority categories or multiple categories. Customers are released from the wait list based on priority categories and the date of the application for DVR services. Waitlist customers will receive DVR information and referral services. And using a waitlist is how DVR manages our customers when we have limited resources available.
So after your determination of eligibility, you'll be put into a priority of service category. It's not based on comparing disability, it's based upon how the disability impacts that person's life.
Right. We have 7 categories when determining disabilities, and assigning a category considered criteria. So when we're looking at the overall barriers to employment and disability, we are going to look at the 7 different categories: mobility, work tolerance, communication, self-care, interpersonal, cognitive and learning, and work skills. Service categories. Number 1 being the top, which is the most significant disability, followed by category 2, significant disabilities. So they're going to have on those 7 I just shared with you, they're going to have 3 out of the 7 in order to be considered significant. And category 3, significant disability, they're going to have at least 2 areas of functional losses in the 7. Category 4, 1 loss. And category 5 are other eligible individuals with disabilities who are going to require services and do not meet the criteria of category 1 through 4. And I just want to share that when we do go in the order of selection, that DVR serves the most significant disabilities first.
I believe Laura touched on this, but the vocational assessments, there's multiple assessments that can be done. There's, I don't know, the WOWI.
There's tons of vocational assessments that can be done. We can do like an interest inventory for our kiddos that can't read. We do a reading-free vocational assessment. Oftentimes we'll use WOWI, which stands for Word of Work Inventory, and just sitting down talking about volunteers and categorizing their skills and realizing what they can do. For our kiddos that don't have any work experience, we may do a community-based assessment to determine the level of VR services they're going to need in order to be successful. Selecting a job goal. The agreed upon employment goal must be consistent with the information and results of the vocational assessment, as well as the customer's VR needs. An individualized plan for employment, IPE, is written to outline the steps and services needed to reach the job goal, least cost to meet the customer's needs. Individualized services may include training and education, job search, job placement assistance, time-limited supports to keep a job.
Once employed, DVR will keep a case open at least 90 days. If they're DDA customers, like Laura said, that'll be a little bit longer process. We're not going to just automatically close them at the end of that period. They definitely will talk with their counselors, talk with their support teams, and make sure that they're feeling comfortable with DVR stepping away from it.
Oh, we're done. Questions or comments? Come on, I could have got candy. No question? No question, Jimmy? No question? No?
You might have some at the end.
Okay.
All right, thank you, ladies. So, and when you're in our program too, we will work with DVR as our students get a little older and start to move towards aging out after their 22nd birthday. So we will start the application process. Our students, some of them are currently enrolled with group services through DVR, which are pre-ETs. And then as they move into more individual employment and start to look at that life past high school, that's when DVR kind of kicks in and will really help secure job placements and do what we call community-based experiences or and work-based learning experiences, so we can see what types of skills students have and identify possible work situations for students. Right now, or next, we have my friend Dayla Rice from DDA, Division of Developmental Disability Administration. She is going to join us online and share a little bit about DDA services. And so, Dayla, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Go ahead, Dayla.
Oh, okay. This was very last minute for me, so apologize if I am a little short here. I did pull up a PowerPoint, but I think what I'd like to do first is, am I going to be able to see people here? Oh, there they are. So does anyone want to start off with any questions? Do you have any questions lingering that you'd like me to try to answer regarding employment? Okay. Well, for who can receive our employment services, you have to be 21 years of age and enrolled at DDA. And also you have to be on a waiver. And the waiver is the waiver is the program you need to be on in order to receive employment supports and employment services. And those waivers are your basic plus waiver, your core waiver, and the community protection waiver. If your young adult does not have one of those waivers and they have a true desire to work, and when they reach closer to 21, if they're enrolled in DDA, they can go ahead and request the waiver from their case manager. And there's a process to get that approved. But if they want to work and they want employment, then by all means have them request the waiver through their case manager. We offer, let me go here. The other, we work really, really closely with DVR, very much a partnership between the two agencies. As you heard, I didn't hear all of it, but DVR is short term, and you know they can start working with students at the age of 14. You know, pre-planning, talking about employment and things like that. But again, DDA doesn't offer the supports for employment until 21. So when someone is ready to graduate, our hope is that they're working with DVR the last year of school, especially to enroll with your employment vendor and start receiving employment services through DVR. We do pretty much the same thing. DDA covers services that DVR can't cover, and DVR covers services that we can cover. So we work very collaboratively together. So do you have any transition age students in your classroom, Beth?
All of them.
Okay, from
And
18 to 21?
we now serve students, Dayla, 18 until 22, the day before.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
before their 22nd birthday. And just to let you know, Linda and Moria are here. So
Oh,
yeah,
hi, Linda.
had an address mix up. So if
Oh,
you
that's
want to
okay.
keep doing your thing, and then when you're done, we'll let them.
Okay, I can just go continue this. Can I share my screen? Is it on?
Yeah,
I'm
they're
not
gonna-
used to Zoom. Where's the share button?
And Dela, you have several folks in the online on Zoom that are watching that have students in our program. So, and yes, all of our students are 18 to 22. You're muted, Dela.
Oh, how
There
did
you
that happen? Weird. So 18 to 22, 22 is, it's new for all of us, but DVR should be, if you're interested, you know, I know Beth does a great job getting people hooked up with DVR to start that process. The hope also is when students graduate high school at 21, 22, because that's when we can serve them at DDA, is that they leave high school with a paid job. And that's so important. And what we're trying to do for early planning is, you know, young adults are going to be leaving school, and this is their team. They have their IEP team. And this is a really good way to progress to when they leave school Monday morning, that, you know, they don't have the bus coming, they're not going to school, but they have their new team, and it's been developed the last couple of years of high school. They have their employment, they have DVR, so they have a new team now. So we offer the employment services we have individual employment, which is any just getting a typical job as their peers without disabilities, minimum wage or over. We do have group supported employment. We always want to try individual employment first, but you guys don't have group, correct? No, you do. You do. Never mind. So with group supported employment, we always want to try individual employment first. That's what we strive to do. Group employment is if, you know, you've tried regular employment, individual employment, and there's maybe some barriers and things that really need to be worked on. And we can offer group supported employment where there's up to, I believe, 7 people in a group who are supervised by that job coach who is with that group supported employment. But the goal is really individual employment. I can't find the share button, you guys, or I would do that. Is the green arrow the share button? Mine's covered.
The green arrow is the share button.
Okay, thank you. There we go. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So our individual employment, and these are services as part of the individual's pathway for employment, integrated employment, and it's tailored to their individual needs, their interests, their abilities, and to promote career development. These are individualized services that's necessary to help persons with developmental disabilities obtain and continue integrated employment at or above the state's minimum wage in the general workforce. And these services could be, they can include intake, discovery. Discovery is when they enter into the employment scene and they have their job coach. Typically they do what's called discovery. It's just a phase 2 employment where they get to know the client, what their gifts are, their interests, their skills, what kind of job do they really desire, and what kind of job do they not want to do. That's very important to know that. We don't want to put people in jobs that they don't want to do. They receive job prep, job supports, and things like that. And these are some of the phases that you'll see in individual supported employment. And that's the discovery that I just mentioned. They can do job shadows to see what kind of job, if they don't know, maybe they'll find something doing job shadows that they really enjoy. as Beth mentioned, they do work-based assessments. There's job prep, there's job marketing, and that's really important because sometimes, sometimes it can take a while to find the right job for the right person. And if it starts to be a lengthy avenue, that's fine. That's completely okay. It's not going to happen overnight. But job marketing is where your job developer goes into the businesses and they kind of analyze and look and get a feel for the business, and they think, they could really use this in their business. I bet they haven't thought of it. So they talk to the employer and the supervisor and hopefully get a meeting and say, I see a real need in your business for this. And that's called job carving. And a lot of jobs happen that way for our young adults. Of course, the job coaching, and then they have job retention. Our employment vendors don't just get a job and then leave them and say good luck. They stay with them as long as they need to on the job until they're stable on the job.
Dayla, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is there still all means all?
Yes.
In Washington.
Yes. Washington State is an all means all state. We lead the nation actually in employing persons with developmental disabilities. We're #1 in the state. And all does mean all because it's not going to be easy for some. It might be for others, but all means all to us is we want to give anyone and everyone the opportunity that if they want to work, we're going to do whatever we can to make that happen with the support that we're going to give them. Like I said, it could be a long road, but that's what we believe, that everyone can work regardless of their disability, and if they want to work, we're going to support them.
And one more question. Sorry.
Oh,
Dayla.
no, you're good.
If a client or student needs one-to-one support, I don't know if I missed this, but they're able to work with that one-to-one support, is that something that DDA will
Mhm.
work
If
with?
that's, yes, if they need one-on-one, we have many clients that have been in a job 2, 3, 4 years. Now the goal is for them to become stable and independent on the job, but some it takes a lot longer. And we have clients that they've had this job coach one-on-one for years. So if that's what they need to be successful, that's what we're going to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see. I've touched on these. So, like I said, we work very closely with DVR, and there's so much to both services. It's hard to, just give all the information of the things that are available. But DVR and DDA are both, we both want the best for the clients that have a desire to work. If they do not want to work, that's their decision. We're not going to force transition students, but we're going to do whatever we can to support those that do want to work. And so these are the partners that make this happen. These are our partners for service delivery, and that's the client and the family, your county, which has your job vendors, your employment vendors. The schools are so important because they can start pre-planning. They can start employment information regarding employment and how it works and get them ready to go when they leave high school. DVR, they're residential providers. Maybe they don't live at home. So they're also very important. And of course, your case manager and anyone else that can be involved, that needs to be involved. That's what it makes it happen. This is replacing the IEP team. So that's why we just like a smooth transition so that when they wake up Monday morning, they're meeting their job coach or they're going to their job.
Dayla, can you talk a little bit about the difference between students who are in school, who have their teachers to kind of put the pressure on to be contacting and reaching out and do this and do that and kind of not being bossy, but, you know, helping them do things? What's the difference when they are done with school and no longer have a teacher guiding them? What happens? What do they need to do as far
Well,
as reaching out?
that's why they need to be prepared before they leave school.
Yeah.
Okay, because we see so many in rural districts and many schools throughout Washington that there is a big push to get students out at 18. And, you know, parents need to know, and they don't always know in these rural areas. And I'm not talking about Wenatchee, but they're not prepared. And they wake up Monday morning, they go to the couch and they start watching TV and they lose that desire. And typically we see that employment doesn't happen for them. Nobody's given them that opportunity. So early planning is really, really important. We don't want any of our transition students not knowing what's out there for them when school ends. And this part's for case managers. I had to pull this up quickly. So, so any questions? Anything to any more? You know, comments? Do all of you have students getting ready to exit school?
A lot of us are, a lot of the folks, or a couple of the folks that are online right now and in the room have first-year students in our transition program in Wenatchee, or are possibly, I think there's one person online who may have younger students. So
Okay.
maybe just,
So excuse me, but early planning is, like I said, it's vital. So when you start the early planning and you start the IEP, it's not new. When it's time, when is it 14? When transition services need to be addressed in the IEP, 14 or 16?
we usually do it the year they turn 15 to
Perfect.
16, yeah.
Okay.
And earlier is best.
Okay. And you know, for some parents, they think, well, if you're 15, they're not going to leave school till they're 22. You know, why do we need to start now? And again, I can't stress enough that early planning is critical. They need to start then. What is employment? Start looking at different occupations and see what might interest them and what might not interest them. You know, we don't want somebody being supported in a job. It might be janitorial when they've said all along, I want to work at a bookstore. You know, we don't want to see that either. So, so good job, you guys, for getting everyone on board. And is there anything in the chat? I don't see anything.
I don't think so, Dayla. Dayla,
Yeah.
thank you so much for jumping on tonight. I appreciate you. And we have Linda and Maria here, so they can take over for you. They're in person here. So I appreciate you so much, Dayla.
You bet. And I hope, Linda, I hope I left you something to say. There's always more.
Thank you, Dayla.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Have a nice evening.
You too.
Bye.
No. So I think Dayla probably covered a lot of it. So I'm Linda Kesty. I'm a supervisor for DDA here in Wenatchee. And this is Moria Hill. She's a case manager. And some of you might be working with Moria or did or have. So Dayla covered employment. Just wondering if anyone has questions about applying for services with DDA.
I have a question that doesn't have anything to do with transition. When a family applies for DDA services and they may have a small child experiencing disability, and they receive a letter that says they are eligible, what's the next step? What do they need to do?
They need to, there's a phone number on that letter. And I just got a phone call from a parent today. And she looked at the letter and I think there was a lot of information on it. She didn't see a phone number. So I put that request into her. So you can all feel free to reach out to me and I can put that request in for you if it's confusing, and reach out if you have questions, because there's a lot to this and it does get confusing. So yeah, so after you receive that letter that your child's eligible for services, you've called and asked for an assessment. We have about a 90-day wait. So you want, as soon as you get that letter, you're going to want to make that phone call as quickly as possible, because essentially you're standing in line. And the quicker you get in line, the quicker you get services. So we have our no paid services case managers conduct the initial assessment. And then after that, they pass it on to one of the case managers that are on my team. And so, and we look at, what supports they need as far as, which case manager that they'll be working with. So, yeah, so.
Can I add too, for the folks online too? I tend to talk too much, but I just want to make sure our families know. One of the differences from in the entitlement of school services is that you have teachers that are saying, this is what you need to do, here are some ideas of agencies to sign up with and where you can get help. And we kind of stick with you and remind you of things that are coming. Once a student ages out of public education, we don't necessarily go away, but it's now about you choosing services. It's always, when you're signing up with services for community services, it is not mandatory. Like school, you're entitled to that. These are by choice. And so the squeaky wheel gets the grease, so to speak, right? So if you are wanting services as family members or as a student who's at transition age, they need to advocate for what it is they want. Even if they're not sure they know what exactly it is, they need to reach out and say, I'm experiencing this. Can you help me? And make sure you're asking for that help.
Right.
Right.
So when you ask for that initial assessment, they might ask you what exactly it is that you're looking for. And a lot of parents are just like, I don't know what to ask for. I know I need help, but I don't know what. So some of the things that we can provide. So our CFC program, personal care in the home, that's an entitlement program. So that's a given. Some families don't want that. Some families have young kids or even older kids and adults that, they just don't feel comfortable with having someone come in and provide care to them because it's scary. This is a stranger. A great scenario is having someone you already know and trust become contracted. So we've got CDWA. You can get contracted through CDWA. And we also, in addition to that, we've got 3 caregiving agencies here locally that can, they have caregivers. So, and they can provide personal care and it's in your home. So if you're asking for, let's say, respite, or you need a break from caregiving because there's a lot of demands and you just need a breath, you just want to go have lunch with a girlfriend or your husband or spouse, or you just want to go get a haircut, you just want to get out and have a break, we would request a respite program. And we usually start with the individual and family services waiver, which is a program designed to assist people to stay in the home with their family and receive supports. So with that being said, we have respite where we can have a caregiver come in, and we want it to be a win-win. We want the primary caregiver to get a break, but we also want your child to get a break too and do some fun things. So, I thought it would be great for kids to get to go hiking or go to the park. We've had people that go fishing or do all kinds of things that they want to do. Ice skating. Yep. Yep. So, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. And sometimes you just got to think about what the child wants to do. And, do they want to burn off some steam? Are they tired of sitting in the classroom all week? Do they want to go and run and play and do something great? So anyway, and then we have Alethea, which is horse riding therapy here in town. And we also have the Brave Warrior Project, which is an awesome place for kids to go. They have a lot of sensory things to interact with. And that's fun. Different programs. So.
And Tierra Village.
And Tierra Village, but for adults. So anyway, there's a lot to this. There's people apply from birth through death with DDA. And so there's no age limit. So know that piece. And as people get older, their needs change. We've got other programs. We have community engagement. We've got employment support. We've got community integration. We've got skills acquisition. I'll let Maria talk. You want to talk about some of those services? No? Okay. But we've got a lot of neat things. And sometimes as you're talking to your case manager, you might be saying, gosh, it'd be great if my child could, could style their own hair, and we could be like, oh, we could add skills acquisition that gives you a couple more hours every month to devote to working on that piece so that they're successful. So
That's awesome. So kind of what I'm hearing is, even if you don't know exactly what skill or service you need, if you can talk about things you're dealing with in the home, bring that to the case manager and let them kind of do some brainstorming with you. I do have a question for our DVR folks too, because I have a couple of students who have wanted to apply for jobs that require driver's licenses. And our students are finding it nearly impossible to take driver's ed. Is driver's education something that DVR can assist with? I don't know that answer.
That's an excellent question. It is something that DVR has assisted with in the past. It's a case by case basis, so it's just going to determine on the student and the counselor. But, that's making them difficult to not be able to participate right now. Okay, yeah. It's definitely something we could help with.
There is a new program starting through the tech center. Have you heard of this at all? My daughter is in the program with the criminal justice, and she also has an IEP. She also will be a later learning student driver. And they're anticipating a February start date, but it would cost $50 for the student. Yeah, through the school district. Yeah. Yeah. Because it is cost prohibitive. So that's coming up. I'm pushing, it's Jared Reinfeld who's running that program. So I'm pushing to find out the start date for that. Yeah.
All right, families online, do you guys have any questions for our pros that are here today? Oh, let me check the chat, just a second.
did you see something?
It's just listed on there.
Oh.
All right, it looks like there are no questions in the chat. I appreciate you guys all being here tonight. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. It's so important that our families get to hear from the people that are going to carry on the work once they leave the school system. So thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you, DVR, for being here too. And we look forward to working with you guys throughout the rest of the year. Thank you. Thanks, those of you who are online.
Should I break out in song?
Susan, I didn't see you in the chat. Susan has a question. Just one
Oh.
second. Sorry. So Susan asked, how often should I be talking with our DDA case manager?
As often as you want to is the answer.
Okay. So,
So if you have a need, reach out. You can reach out anytime and give them a call.
Okay.
Call, email. They're busy. They have around 70 to 75 people on their caseload. So there are busy folks, but you know what? Just call them, email them, and we'll get back to you.
And the
So-
expectation is twice a year minimum.
Yeah. So the case manager comes out, they conduct the assessment annually. And then 6 months from that point, they'll call and check in with you. But you always want to feel free to reach out. If you have a question or concern, or you need more support, you just go ahead and call. We've had people call us, 4 months after moving over to the west side. They're living in an apartment and it's freezing cold and their heater went out, the furnace went out, and the landlord wouldn't help them. So that person called us and asked for help, and we started looking up resources and providing them information. So it doesn't shut off when you move, or, just you want to reach out, because we like to help people. Yeah. Oh, good.
all right. Any other questions in the chat? Looks good. All right. Thank you.